Thank you, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Estimate and Apportionment for the final vote out for the approval of the fiscal year 2023 annual operating plan for Tuesday, April 26, 2022. Ms. Stephanie Green, please call the roll. Uh-oh, she's stuck. Oh, there you are, Stephanie. Ms.
Mayor Jones?
Yes, present.
Comptroller Green,
Here.
President Reed,
Here.
all present.
Great. Items presented for the first time is request from the Budget Director for approval of the fiscal year 2023 proposed budget and personnel schedules with proposed amendments, and to submit and recommend Board Bill 1 to the Board of Aldermen as the budget for the City of St. Louis for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022.
Move for adoption of item number 1.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded for adoption of item number 1. Are there any?
Would you like me to? I can walk through those amendments for you.
Yes.
Please do.
Paul, you have some amendments. You can
Yeah,
walk
let
through.
me pull those up. I'm going to share screen here.
That'd be perfect.
Is that up on your screen?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay, very good. All right, there are basically they're requested for 2 amendments with several parts of each one. And the first one is a request to add $19 million in ARPA funds for 3 different purposes. The first one is a $12 million item for employee salary adjustments, and that would be consistent and subsequent to a new pay plan. Second item is to add $2 million to the Affordable Housing Commission and supplement their housing assistance program. And the third item would be $5 million for additional funds for building stabilization. And this would be over and above what is currently done through Prop NS. It would actually extend to beyond. It would be private properties and such that are not currently eligible under Prop NS. And you can see, so that would be a new section in Board Bill 1 that would address local recovery, fiscal recovery funds under ARPA. And you can see the language there that would be added to the draft of the board bill, specifying those 3 items, but would be added to the board bill that you have, the draft of the board bill that you have in front of you. The second amendment also has 3 parts. There were basically the substances to adding a couple of positions to the Board of Aldermen as well as the comptroller's offices. The first is a reduction in certain line items within the citywide accounts, $200,000 from that pay and adjustment line to make it an even $5 million. A CPI adjustment related to the asset preservation account for the convention center. And that was a little, by refining that, we were able to make that lower by $90,000. And the rest was just an estimate of what we think we could get by with it in one of those admin fees on debt service. But the 2 positions being added to the Board of Aldermen and the President's office would be 1 administrative assistant to the President and 1 legislative director. And you can see the salaries and fringes there. And 2 positions would be added to the Controller's office, which would be 1 special assistant to controller and 1 accounting coordinator. And you can see the salaries and fringes there. Those additions net with the net reductions in 190 leave no change to the bottom line in the general fund. And that is the extent of any proposed amendments that we have.
I'd like to divide the question on the amendments and vote on them separately.
I move to approve amendment number 1.
Second. It's been moved.
Sorry, I've been on mute. Yeah, I seconded, but I was on mute the whole time.
It's been moved and properly seconded to approve amendment number 1. Ms. Stephanie Green, please signify by voice vote. Please, Ms. Green, please call the roll.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Comptroller Green,
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye.
And now we have amendment number 2.
Move for adoption of amendment number 2 as presented by the budget director.
I'd like to make an amendment to that amendment and replace on 2B, personnel schedule changes, and replace that with 2 research analysts to the board at the same amount.
Why would you think we need additional research analysts to the board?
Well, because the,
We
I-
have, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, ma'am.
well, we know that the board is, there's a significant reduction in staff, which means that the remaining 14 aldermen are going to need more staff for research purposes, as there'll be fewer of them. And also, yeah, that is the reason why I propose this amendment to the amendment.
We've already covered that in the budget. If you go back and take a look at the budget, we added additional positions for the members of the board. So it's already within the budget. And we
Added assistance
and
to the
we,
tune of over $800,000 has been added to your budget this year.
yes, but that pales in comparison to the 60 some odd positions that you all have added to your budget. And we're not diving into all of that, but if you would like us to have a deeper discussion on that, we can. The positions in the board have been accounted for. We also have other positions that we waited on filling within the full board itself because of the reorganization that we're going through. There's a board bill that the Alderman from the 21st has introduced that we began discussions on last year that will reorganize all the positions that are under the board itself. These 2 positions are strictly for the president's office so that we can do the work of the people. When you look at it in comparison, is really truly an embarrassing situation that I operate with four people, but we work 7 days a week, 10, 12-hour days just to try to keep things together. And on a national average, we're, if there was a hole in the bottom of the barrel, we'd be somewhere about a mile below the hole in the bottom of the barrel in terms of, comparisons with other legislative branches of government across the country. So that's why the 2 positions are there. It appears to be a bit punitive and political to try to make an adjustment like that to this budget, given everything else in this budget, given the massive increase in your office for basic services that we've never seen before. We just have not seen that before. But again, I would ask you to support this amendment. It's an easy amendment. It's not one that is controversial or difficult at all. And it's a very simple one too.
So as I understand it, Madam Mayor, you are making a technical change to 2B.
Yes, ma'am.
I second that.
It's been moved and properly seconded for the technical change amendment to 2B, changing personnel to research analysts to the board. Ms. Green, please call the roll.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Comptroller Green,
Aye.
President Reed.
No,
Okay, motion passes. And now we will consider Amendment 2 as amended.
I move that we approve Amendment 2 as amended.
Second. It's been moved and properly seconded to approve Amendment 2 to the budget as amended. Ms. Stephanie Green, please call the roll.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Comptroller Green,
Aye.
President Reed.
no,
Okay, motion passes. Those are all of the amendments that we have for the fiscal year 23 annual operating plan. Is there any other discussion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I want to just make a comment to say, I wanted to thank all of our citizens who came to voice their opinions on the 2023 budget, and that they can see today that we heard them in some of the areas to use some of the ARPA monies for affordable housing and to stabilize those buildings that are unstable so that we can then build private owners when we make stabilizations to private properties so that our first responders will not face the detriment of going into an unstable building. So I really wanted to just make that comment that this is a one-time budget adjustment using the ARPA funds, but we have heard our citizens loud and clear. And I want to thank the Board of Aldermen as well as the Mayor's office for diligence in making sure that the voices of our citizens have been heard.
Yes, I echo those sentiments, Comptroller Green, and also want to add that the $12 million that we have put aside for employee bonuses, that we look forward to working with the personnel department to structure a bonus plan where everybody where civil service and county employees will get a healthy bonus for an appreciation for all of their hard work during this pandemic.
I have a question about a couple line items before we vote the budget out. So
The budget's already been voted out.
I'm adding, still have a couple questions.
Okay.
Or we can wait till we get.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, so under membership fees in the mayor's office, that line item was previously was $2,500. That's been turned, that has been changed to $30,000 from $2,500. So what are we going to spend the other $27,500 on? That seems like a lot. There's some city employees, that barely make more than that. And it's going to be used for membership fees and things of that nature.
These are the membership fees for the U.S. Conference of Mayors, as well as the African American Mayors Association.
And it's 30,000 now, opposed to 2,500.
I don't know what they've done in the past.
It was never $30,000. But we'll take a deeper look at that once we begin looking at the bill over at the Board of Aldermen. And then what do you plan to use the $30,000 mayoral contingency fund for? What is that?
The mayoral contingency fund, I have an option to accept it as salary, and I have done as such.
Okay, so that's an additional 30,000 on top of your current 140 some odd thousand.
Well, it's expensive to be mayor to travel to all these conferences, and that's essentially what that fund has been used for in the past.
But you also have $57,000 for travel, and that's a significant amount. That's,
Can you tell me
That's-
what page you're on, President Reed, so we can follow along with you?
page, it's on page 3.
Page 3 of the, of which, of this board bill? The one that
I
we
have the- I
received?
have the pages separate, so let me pull up the board bill, but I have your line item here. See where it is in the board bill itself, but yeah, so if you go to Fund 1010, Department 120, Mayor's Office, go down to
Paul, can you tell me what page, Mr. President is referring to?
Are you talking about the line item? Are you in the line item detail or the board bill itself?
President Reed, are you in the line item detail or the board bill itself?
I was in the line item detail.
Okay, and account number, is that the membership fees that you were talking about or? which-
Yeah, the membership fees was one of the questions. Membership fees went from 2,500 to 30,000. Then the contingency fund is at 30,000. Then
That
for travel
contingency fund has
went
been the
from-
same for every mayor.
And then travel went from 2,500 to 10,000. Then you have transportation. You have another 12,000 in there for transportation.
That's page 3 of the line item detail is what you're referencing.
So when you add all of those up, that's pretty significant amount of taxpayer money. But we can dive into this deeper later when we get it over to the Board of Aldermen. That and other things related to that. I just think it is a lot of money, especially when as part of you know, having public safety operate more efficiently and effectively. I know that you've said to the constituents that you were streamlining public safety, but in the budget that you presented, you've added 7 new positions under public safety. 16, almost 17 positions under health, and 9 more positions under corrections. By the way, is MSI closed? The building, the facility that was formerly known as the Medium Security Institution, is that closed?
As soon as we finish the repairs to the CJC, we will take the remaining less than 20 detainees out of the CJC annex and move them over to the CJC, and the facility will be closed. The repairs, excuse me. I'm
Okay,
talking-
yeah, go ahead.
Repairs have been delayed due to supply chain issues. And so it is very difficult to get steel these days. And until we finish those repairs, the remaining detainees will be over there, and it's just less than 20. But once they move, the facility will be closed.
And how many people are employed there right now at the MSI? Even though the name has been changed, but it's the same building and the same footprint, address still the same. 4 walls is still the same.
I'm sorry, I'd have to check with corrections or public safety for that.
Okay, so the 9 new positions in corrections, where were those, where do you plan to put those additional people if you're planning on closing the facility? Seems like you would already have enough people employed that between the 2 facilities to run 1 facility, but what will you put an additional 9 people?
The changes to corrections are cleanup from the previous year when we zeroed out the budget at MSI.
I'm still not. So you zero when you zeroed the budget out, that was just, a shell game. You essentially just changed the name of it and moved all the funds from one account to the other account, right?
This is the
That's the
remaining
only thing
cleanup.
that happened.
This is the remaining cleanup of closing down or zeroing out that budget.
So the 9 additional positions are 9 positions that you're saying already exist.
As I understand it, yes, those positions already exist.
And if
Paul,
they-
Yeah,
if they-
I can explain that. If you look at, and this is in the line item detail, there were some budgeted positions under that special fund that were funded with the federal revenues. They're no longer exist. Those were funded this year from that special fund. The next year, they're going to be in the general fund. Overall, I'm looking, and again, this is on page 264 of the line item detail, that they're going from 327 positions to 328. So it's not a net increase if you look at the total, or not a substantial net increase if you look at the total funds, but that's the difference.
But they were being paid, how were they being paid for before out of the federal?
That's correct. There was a transportation unit. I think it was about 12 positions originally that was funded through the federal reimbursements.
Yeah, but since we aren't are we receiving any additional federal reimbursements because what's happening with that since we have decided, since there was a decision not to house any more federal detainees?
Correct. Yeah. So that fund doesn't exist anymore. So it's not appropriated in this year.
So this is this is still an additional cost to our bottom line that we normally would not have had we continued the housing the federal detainees, which also made a difference to our bottom lines anywhere between $6 and $8 million annually. So along with that $6 to $8 million being gone, we now are still picking up the additional cost of the.
There were additional staff that went with that $6 to $8 million as well.
Yeah, but with
it took additional staff in order to properly staff those detainees.
That's true.
But as Paul just said, there's no increase in the corrections budget.
It was a net positive gain for the city. And I mean, I can tell you that for a fact because we used the money. We had to use the money. So it went to places that we needed across the city. So it is a net loss to the city of St. Louis that those federal detainees are now being detained someplace else, right? We didn't change that population number. They're now just being detained by some other municipality. And some other municipality now is receiving the benefit of that additional $6 to $8 million in revenue, while the city of St. Louis, we now sustain that loss, plus now we're going to pick up an additional with the rest of us.
But again, the change in positions went from 327 to 328. The only change was the funding source. So
No, not just the funding sources, it's the funding also, because we are picking up that cost. That cost normally would have been picked up by housing those federal detainees, plus an additional $6 to $8 million for the taxpayers of the city of St. Louis. They no longer have that. So this is an additional burden to the taxpayers of the city of St. Louis.
okay.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're clear
Your
on
point
that.
is made.
All right.
We don't agree, but your point is made.
Well, there's only one version of the facts, and that's
And I can disagree with the facts as you stated them, President Reed.
there's only one version of the facts. Let me ask you a question. So has it been a net positive gain for the city of St. Louis financially that we are no longer housing the federal detainees? That's a simple yes or no.
A net positive gain that we're not, I'm sorry, what?
Has it been has it been a net positive gain to the taxpayers of the city of St. Louis that we no longer house the federal detainees in the city of St. Louis?
Well, that depends on who you're asking.
No. No, well,
President Reed, I'm not going to go back and forth with you. Do you have any other questions regarding the budget?
I have a whole lot of other questions, but I'll just wait till we get it at the Board of Aldermen, and we will go through it with a fine tooth comb.
Madam Mayor, I have a comment. It's with an abundance of caution that I think we, after a lengthy discussion, would reiterate the vote out. And so I move that we would vote out item number 1 as it has been amended, as the amendments that were presented has been amended today.
So, okay, there is a motion to vote out item number 1, which is the fiscal year 23 budget as amended. Is there a second? I will second. It's been moved and properly seconded. Ms. Green, please call the roll.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Comptroller Green,
Aye.
President Reed.
Present.
Great. Motion passes. We have voted out the budget for fiscal year 23, beginning July 1st, 2022. I will.
Thank you. All your hard work.
Adjourn.
Paul.
Yeah, thanks, Paul and everybody for all your hard work on this. We're looking forward to get to work on it at the Board of Aldermen, and I move that we adjourn this session of the Board of B&A.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right,
Are
have a
adjourned.
good day.